What's up, guys? Welcome back to the video. Over today's video,
we are going to be reacting to high school horror stories, and I'm going to high school next year. It's almost the end of school, and
I guess
this will probably get me even more nervous.
Aren't you?
Snapple.
Aren't you, Matt? No!
Our newest sponsor.
Not sponsored by Snapple!
Yes, we are.
I mean,
If you want to Snapple, you can sponsor us.
If you want to, even though
I'm only going to 8th grade next year, I'll probably watch this when I'm going to high school. I'm already terrified of high school.
High school horror stories. Let's just jump into it. Okay.
New jacket.
Avengers.
Link in bio.
Avengers
one.
sponsor us. Oh, Marvel.
Shut up!
I was a new student to Southern Lehigh High School in Pennsylvania. Going into my junior year of high school, not knowing anyone was really rough. Everyone obviously had their friend group sorted out by then. The worst part was lunchtime, though.
Lunchtime.
My school wouldn't let juniors eat for lunch, only seniors.
What time is it?
So I had to eat in the cafeteria. I was dreading it because I knew I'd have no one to sit with, and I didn't want to force myself into a random table. When lunchtime finally came, however, I walked into the cafeteria with my tray of food looking for a place to sit. Every single table was taken. I didn't even have the option of sitting alone. But there was one table in the corner of the cafeteria with only 2 kids sitting at it. That was the least intimidating spot to sit. So I walked over and asked if I could sit there. They both looked at each other, and one of them said yeah. I noticed upon sitting down that the 2 were identical twins.
Whoa!
They looked like they were
That's
partially
scary.
Hispanic heritage, but they didn't have accents.
Reaction time!
Whoa!
They honestly seemed alright. They
You are ruining it!
Snapple.
introduced themselves as Antonio and Bruno, and they had a conversation with me. They invited me to hang out with them after school, and honestly I figured why not? I had to start off somewhere as far as making friends. I got their numbers, and after school, I went home to drop off all my stuff. Shortly after, I got a text from Bruno, telling me he and his brother were planning on hanging out. He told me to meet them around 9 that night at the nearby cemetery that was like a 10-minute walk from my house.
That's not creepy.
He said there was a cool hangout spot near there. Plus, the first day of school was on a Friday, so he had off the next day.
Shut up!
I had nothing to do, so I said, yeah, I'm down. When the
Why
time
would you say
came,
yeah?
Bruno
That's so
texted me
stupid.
one more time asking if I was still coming. I said, yeah, I'm gonna leave in a few, and confirmed we were meeting on the road by the cemetery. He said, yeah. So I began my walk in the dark to the cemetery. The longer I walked, the more I thought about my whole move and being the new kid in high school. And thinking about the fact that I was literally walking to a cemetery at night to hang out with 2 kids I just met. But
That's
anyway,
not creepy.
I got to the
It's
little road
stupid.
next to the cemetery and asked Bruno where they were. He started typing right away, and he said they were in the woods hanging by a small lake that they wanted to show me.
Stupid.
Then he promptly sent his location. So I made my way into the woods, pushing branches out of my way, using my tiny phone flashlight as my only light. I started calling for Bruno and Antonio as I felt like I was close enough, according to the location he sent me at least. Suddenly I heard footsteps, so I stopped. Definitely footsteps approaching me, but they were very low and slow. They called out that they better not be trying to scare me. When they weren't answering me though,
See, if
I
I was
decided this was stupid.
Story time?
You see, if I was in this situation, I wouldn't keep walking. I would literally get my butt out of that place and run home. That's like literally sprint. I'm like, I'm done.
Right, what I would do is I would bring a shotgun.
Bring a shotgun. Or that. Okay, keep
I
playing.
turned and started walking back towards the road. But those footsteps I mentioned earlier, they turned from quiet and slow to fast, and before I could even react, someone had their nails digging into my neck, effectively choking me. I heard a familiar voice screaming, "Grab him, grab him." I managed to break free from this sort of chokehold and sprinted towards the road.
Yeah.
I know they followed me until the tree line by the road. I was faster than them, and I could run for miles. And that's what I did. I ran straight home and told my parents. They considered calling the cops, but I thought it would be better to get pictures of the nail marks on my neck and report it to the school the next day. That's what we did, and with the help of the text that I got from Bruno, I was able to get the 2 students expelled. My parents made me block both their numbers. I didn't exactly argue with that, though. My parents wanted me to confirm that these kids didn't know where we lived, and I told them simply, not as far as I know.
Dang.
So anyway, one night about a week later,
Oh, it's not even
I woke
over.
up to my room feeling really cold. I heard the sound of wind blowing into my room, and I looked at the window to see it was slid completely open. I wondered if my mom came in to open it, but that would make absolutely no sense.
It's the guy.
It was
that
like 50
tried to
degrees out
choke
that
him.
night.
No, it's Donald Trump. Yes,
I
it's the
walked
guy.
over to it and looked down below. A few feet below my bedroom window, there's a part of the exterior of my house that comes outward, creating a sort of ledge underneath my window that my father always told me to jump onto in case of a fire.
Sweet.
I shut my window and walked over to my parents' bedroom. I gently knocked and opened the door, and my mom groggily asked what. I had to ask her if she opened my window. She sat up saying, "No, why?" I told her in a louder, more concerned voice now that my window was opened all the way by somebody.
Dang.
She started shaking my dad to wake him up and go check my room with me. But when he woke up, he told me to grow up and go back to sleep. I left my parents' door open as I walked back down the hall to my room.
Dang.
Then, I picked up on something that I'm surprised I picked up on. My door. It seemed to be half shut now, as opposed to completely open when I left. I pushed the door open just a little bit so I could get a look through the crack and see if, someone was...
I'm in my safe place.
Why? You just put your hoodie on.
behind the door. Even though I had the thought of the possibility, I never could have actually expected to see it. There was someone hiding behind my door.
Jeez!
I screamed for my dad like a little girl. I screamed so loud I'm sure it could be heard 3 doors down. Then my door suddenly slammed shut, just as my dad came rushing out of his room over to me. I screamed there's people in my room, so he barged into the room and turned the light on. At that moment, we saw the leg of a person jumping out my window. My dad ran to the window, then downstairs and out the front door to attempt to chase them down. But he came back a few minutes later out of breath, saying he didn't see anyone. Full of energy and fear, I swore it had to be those twins that I got expelled. My dad called the police, and I had to talk to them when they arrived, explaining the whole story back to the incident in the woods.
Hold up. I want you guys to count how many times we say this is creepy and comment down below. How many times have
I
we...
probably already said it like 3 times.
Yeah.
I haven't said it at all.
You haven't even said anything.
Exactly. I said Snapple.
Top 5 scariest Snapple stories. Has no one in the thumbnail.
My father backed up my story, but
By
without
the way,
proof
this
of-
is a new background. This is what is in front of us.
Yeah, this is usually in front of us when we record, but we have it opposite now. You ready?
Did you hear that?
Someone's crawling through the window.
who entered
Dave
said there
Blues.
wasn't anything they could do. They merely ordered us to lock the doors and consider installing cameras outside. As positive I am that it was either one of or both of those twins in my room, after getting through a solid couple months of sleeping in fear, nothing to this nature ever happened again. Looking back now, I don't know why I was so willing to meet these kids in the woods at night. I should have realized in the cafeteria that day that they looked like trouble, and I should have
Yeah.
stayed away.
Yes, you should have. Dumb.
When you see twins in high school, don't go up there. When you see twins in...
I already know twins. I know 2 twins.
Like 2 pairs of twins?
Yeah. They go to 8th grade. I mean, my school.
Oh, ads. Yay. What is it? Is it Snapple?
Really?
Freshman year of high
Oh,
school,
gym.
2007. Gym class.
Your
last
favorite
period.
class.
We had a substitute gym teacher on one of the stormiest days of the year. He was an older man, not a senior citizen, but gray, maybe 55 to 60. He took attendance, and when he passed me, he did a double take at me, which I found a bit uncomfortable. Not to float my own boat, but I always understood I looked older and really good for a freshman in high school.
Are you sure about that?
The sub told us to get into our volleyball teams, and he disappeared into the hall by the locker rooms for a while. 40 minutes went by and the period was over. It was time for us to get changed and go home. I got into the locker room, but for some reason, my locker
this is gonna
wasn't
scare
open.
me. I've always hated the locker
I
room.
tried my usual combination over and over and over. It wouldn't click open though. I had to go to the sub and let him know to ask for my combination again. I figured maybe the combo just slipped from my mind for some reason. The sub told me to give him a few minutes and he'd get the list of locker combos. I waited outside the office, and out he finally came with a book in his hands, open to a specific page. He walked into the girls' locker room with me, which I didn't expect him to do. The locker room was basically empty now, with one girl finishing up changing. We walked over to my locker and tried the combination written down on the paper. It didn't work no matter how many times he tried it. Each time he tried it and failed, he would look at me and laugh. I would force myself to laugh along to be polite, but it started getting weird. He put his hand on my shoulder as he said, "We'll figure this out." He tried the...
What?
Somebody was actually knocking.
Oh, I think that's probably the construction workers over there building the fence.
Remember when we had to do that?
Yeah, we are building a fence vlog, or no, destroying a fence vlog. Yeah, that was. I like that video. That was funny.
combination again, with his hand
This is
still
a
on my
20-minute
shoulder.
video. Maybe we should
When
do.
it didn't
two
work
parts.
again.
No.
I felt his hand slowly
Yeah.
started inching down from my shoulder to my
That's
lower
right.
back. I pushed myself away and grabbed my bag, saying, "It's okay, I'm late for my bus." He tried a combo in the locker one more time, and it opened. He smiled and walked away. I waited till I heard the locker room door shut. Then I proceeded to getting changed quickly, when suddenly the room went dark.
Oof.
I finished pulling up my pants and shut my locker in the dark. I threw on my backpack and
You have
started
no
walking.
idea that, so, ready for story time?
Story time. Story time.
So there was
ma'am.
Christmas break. It was like the day before Christmas break.
Yeah.
And the power went out for like a millisecond, and like seconds after, the lockdown thing went off.
Oh.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
Scary.
I was in the locker room.
Yes, that was
I was
really
in the
scary.
locker room, and it was pitch black. Like, I swear, it was pitch black. Where were you?
We were in the cafeteria.
I was just in class.
We had to go hide in one of the. I think it was DMC.
I was freaking out.
That was
What?
scary.
That was creepy.
There
I
was like
just
people.
stayed-
There was like people crying. It
Yeah,
was-
people were freaking out. I was doing this. Like, I was in the fetal position doing this.
Like, it was the alarm for a school shooter.
Yeah.
Like,
Keep playing. It was-
Came to the back exit of the locker room, which
I
led
was making
outside.
two parts.
Yeah.
I feared that the sub would be waiting right by the door for me. I got predatory vibes from him. When I got to the end of that specific aisle of lockers I was in the intersection of two rows. I'd have to turn down left to get to the exit door, but still. Naturally, I had to look right to make sure that it was clear. There was a little light seeping in from one single rectangular window that sat under the ceiling. It was enough. Enough for me to see him peeking at me from around the wall of lockers.
Oh God.
So that's when I ran for the exit door.
Yeah.
He came over behind me saying, "Wait, it's not what it looks like." I ran outside into the rain off the campus of the high school and walked the rest of the way home, giving me time to reflect on what happened. By the time I got home, soaking wet, it came to me that he most likely changed my locker combination somehow as a way of getting alone with me in the locker room. As for what he could have possibly been planning to do when he cut the lights, I never wanted to imagine. Honestly, I was too emotionally scared and quite frankly embarrassed to tell anyone about it. Not even my parents or friends.
Jeez.
It was something I just kept to myself all these years, because truthfully, I just don't feel comfortable telling people.
And then you make a video.
I'll never look
Okay.
at the locker room the same way again. Guys,
This-
part 2 is coming.
Yeah, part 2's coming. It's been 15 minutes. And anyways, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you in the next one. See you guys.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop!